on Initiative Africa. My name is Asha Sampet. Welcome to this new edition of your weekly magazine featuring Africa on the move through smart innovations and initiatives that work. Let's get on with the show with our top stories today. This entrepreneur from the Cameroonian diaspora has turned his passion for mathematics and economics into a vocation. His venture capital company, Reda, finances small African businesses that are struggling to get off the ground. Finding capital to start in Africa is not impossible, and he explains why. He's our guest this week.
Today, in the general African ecosystem, local entrepreneurs face two main problems when they want to get started. The first is a lack of capital, and the second, a lack of skills.
How a district well known to Africans in Paris has belied its sulphurous reputation. Architectural renewal, enthusiasm of creators, place of social ties, Château-Rouge is waking up.
People have to come. They should come to discover what we're trying to showcase here so that it changes their perception of the neighborhood.
Is Ghana the home of startups? An ecosystem is expanding in the country to promote the growth of these young companies.
Here in the Ghana Innovation Hub, we have a shelf where we showcase the products of our entrepreneurs. So all these products you see here are samples of what they do, and in a way of helping them, we advertise it for them.
The Château-Rouge district, La Goutte d'Or, located east of the Butte Montmartre in Paris, is well known to Africans. For a long time, it was a place where insalubrity and drug trafficking reigned. But in recent years, thanks in particular to the renovation policy led by the municipality of the 18th arrondissement of the capital, it has been given a new face. To the delight of the inhabitants of the district, but also artists and the visitors, of course, attracted by its new energy. A report by our journalist Nicolas Margeron in Paris. In his shop, Rue des Gardes, Boubakari Sidibé is busy preparing a tailor-made evening dress. This Ivorian fashion designer is part of the Made in Goutte d'Or cooperative, which brings together various artisans from the neighbourhood. He notably shares his studio with Sheikh Omar and Mathieu Corey. For him, the diversity of creators is a real asset.
The potential here is really, people have to come. They should come to discover what we're trying to showcase here so that it changes their perception of the neighborhood. So we really want to take up the challenge. Paris is the capital of fashion, hence we'd like to add one more straw to the haystack.
Created in 2011, the Made in Goutte d'Or cooperative has set itself the objective of promoting the economic development of artisans and merchants in the district. Fado started working as a tailor in 2005. With Annie, a former shopkeeper, they remember the state of the neighborhood at that time. It was horrible, Rue Mira. We can't say otherwise. Yeah, it's true. There was drug trafficking. It was dirty. It was old, obsolete. That was the problem.
Yeah, with really completely damaged buildings and the drug trafficking. Me, I had clients who arrived here shaking, who were completely traumatized because they were mugged, their necklaces taken, telephones had been snatched from their hands because they were on the phone. Some were even slapped in their face. There were so many things you couldn't even imagine, and all that today is gone.
There are one or two establishments that are still poorly attended, poorly managed. Fado was approached by the town hall to rethink the refurbishment of some of the streets.
I myself had asked for plans at the time because they had brought me plans of Mira Street. It's now the new configuration of Rue Mira, Rue Cavé, Rue Havre, and so on. We need to change the configuration of some buildings, destroy and rebuild. And then it's not just about building. It's really redesigning with new projects, bringing in creators, experience, not only people who live in the neighborhood or who work in the neighborhood, but other skills that can contribute to the neighborhood. And now it's done. Look at how convenient it is. not only on the psychological aspect, as it gave more assurance and security to the inhabitants and the people who work, and also for those who come to visit the neighborhood.
Mira Street has changed its reputation with the arrival of high-end boutiques. The Pearl Vagabond brand has dressed international star Beyoncé twice. The city of Paris has played a major role in securing the district. In addition to the fight against drug trafficking, the city has participated in the redevelopment of nearly 1,600 homes since 2014.
If we go back to the late 90s or at the beginning of the 2000s, we must remember that at that time there was a security issue, insecurity. There was also a threat of obsolete buildings. Basically, what we did in La Goutte d'Or district is actually what saved us from the tragedies in Marseille, and therefore clearly the balance sheet is extremely positive. There are still some tough points, and it's a bet that is still not resolved. It's about diversity, mixing different ethnic populations. I think this is what our nation reflects. It's easier, if I may say, to manage the ghettos of the rich on one side and the ghettos of the poor on the other. Here we try to mix everyone. What we want to do in the 18th is to mix everyone, and I think that La Goutte d'Or is the reality of contemporary France, a real melting pot of social origin, cultural origin, ethnic origin too. On the one hand, a real desire of the inhabitants to live together. And basically, I think it's very much like what France is today.
To restore the image of the district and promote diversity, the city has also encouraged the development of cultural spaces. Built on the site of a vacant lot, the 360 Paris Music Factory is both a restaurant and a concert hall.
From the moment when we create a beautiful place that is not dedicated to merely a category of inhabitants, a category of population, but open to everyone, people embrace them. Today, this crossroad is clean in comparison with other crossroads in the neighborhood. And even the plants that you see in front, I have the impression that the inhabitants take care of them. I have seen a few times when a passerby sees that there's a cigarette packet that has fallen next to the plants, he puts it in the trash. People are more respectful of their neighborhood, so they take care of it.
The transformation has made the inhabitants of the district proud, like Saïd.
When I lived here, it was dangerous. Here, it was called the Chicago district. I left for 4 years in the south of France, then I came back. There has been a change. The young people are more settled. We go out without fear now, and that's it. It's nice that people come. Tourists come to this neighborhood, and so we're happy for everyone's sympathy.
Saïd Asadi is also delighted that culture is made accessible in working-class neighborhoods.
When you look at our cultural center, all those bay windows, which as soon as the weather is nice, they open up to the neighborhood, have played a very important role. And during this COVID pandemic, where people weren't getting out of their neighborhood and when they were passing by the 360, they saw musicians playing and that they could come for a drink or coffee and listen to music.
Et qu'ils pouvaient rentrer dans le lieu juste pour prendre un verre ou prendre un café et écouter la musique.
It caused a kind of incredible mix.
Vraiment mixité incroyable. Voilà, donc,
so that's the conclusion.
Il faut faire des beaux lieux.
That's it. We have to make beautiful cultural places, but open to the neighborhood, because often we tend to build cultural places with doors closed.
Tout est fermé.
People, especially in working-class neighborhoods, say to themselves, it's not for me.
Financing startups in Africa rhymes with opportunity for our guest Harry Youmbi. This Cameroonian entrepreneur based in France has decided to give young shoots from the continent a boost and mostly resources to succeed. Reda, his venture capital company, provides them with their first seed funds. He also funds free startups in his home country and is looking for other potential candidates for the entrepreneurial adventure. A risky but feasible bet, as he explained to Laurence Sustras. Hello, Harry Youmbi. Welcome on Initiative Africa. You are the co-founder of Reda Capital. Why Reda Capital?
Why Reda Capital? Well, the name comes from a simple observation. Today, in the general African ecosystem, local entrepreneurs face two main problems when they want to get started. The first is a lack of capital, and the second, a lack of skills. Today, Reda Capital aims to tackle these issues by providing, for the entrepreneurs who ask us, financial and operational support. We offer our operational skills and accompany them on a daily basis, monitoring the development of their activities.
Are they Africa-based entrepreneurs or also from the diaspora?
African entrepreneurs and the African diaspora. We are a team of 10 people, 10 entrepreneurs, who have experience in both the West and in Africa. We bring our skills and our knowledge to these two environments.
Why is funding a challenge in Africa? Can't you get a loan in Africa when you are an entrepreneur?
Often when you become an entrepreneur, and you must understand the context, it's not a vocation, but it's out of necessity. In Africa, it's out of necessity. In these conditions, you often don't have any money. We don't necessarily have the suitable training, and we're not necessarily advised by the right people. So what happens? You go to the bank and say, "Hello, will you lend me money?" Or look wherever you can to find funds. Today, banks don't provide the finance. They aren't into financing risks. And it's very complicated for entrepreneurs on the continent.
It's complicated, but what puts off traditional funders? Why are the banks so cautious? It's a question we ask all the time.
That's a good question, because we're also discussing it amongst ourselves. And the answer is not so simple. The first element that we identified is the banks seem to need to deal with a company in front of them that has some structure. Other conditions that often arise are 3 years of activity and a minimum turnover. Often it's in the millions, which isn't within the reach of any activity that starts up, and often the bank will impose conditions that aren't helpful. For example, you need to take out a loan to buy some machines. You have a local supplier who makes the machines for you, let's say, for the sake of it, at a cost of 10 million. The bank, on the other hand, forces you to buy it from a partner who might charge you 3 or 4 times as much, and with conditions which are often very expensive, maybe at rates of 15% interest. So good luck reimbursing those. Having land titles worth 30 to 40 million might help, but where might the ambitious young entrepreneurs who start their own business get these? It's very complicated, so there's that. Then another problem on the continent is that we have very few investment funds, especially in the French-speaking part, because in comparison, the English-speaking nations are more advanced. So there are few funds able to cope with entry-level or early-stage projects. The few funds that do exist are generally involved in projects that have been around for a while and have reached a high level of growth. The challenge then is how to best finance young companies to boost the financial ecosystem. In fact, we see that 90% of companies that go out of business are less than 5 years old.
But for all that, can everything be financed in Africa?
Good point, but I think yes, we can finance everything. Now, as far as Reda Capital and the organization I represent today, we cannot finance everything. We are not going to finance everything. We are going to finance activities that will have a local impact. we are particularly keen on local social and sustainable development.
On est très regardant sur le développement social et durable local. On est très regardant sur.
We are focusing on all the sectors of activity we are aiming to help, such as agri-food, education, health, and sectors such as culture. But we have limits. There are things we won't get into, like alcohol or drugs.
Il y a des trucs qu'on ne fera pas, l'alcool, les drogues. Voilà, c'est des secteurs d'activité où on ne va pas.
But we will get into activities that will promote local production, finished or semi-finished processing of raw materials.
Local, la transformation semi-finie ou finie des matières premières. Ça, c'est ça.
These are areas in which we're very interested.
Très intéressé.
Welcome to the second part of our show. We remain in the field of entrepreneurship through the example of Ghana. In this country, which has more than 500 startups, many new entrepreneurs lack the skills, but also lack access to capital and technology to run a business and operate in a competitive environment. To remedy this, the government of Ghana relies on startup incubators, and they are popular with entrepreneurs. Our journalist George Ibo Saki and John Owutwi visited one of them, the Ghana Innovation Hub. Take a look.
With the establishment of the new support services firm, the Ghana Innovation Hub, Ghana's authorities are helping entrepreneurs like Folasade Rufai of Dawa Foods make their businesses more competitive, not just in the local market, but internationally too.
At the time when I applied for the program, I did not have any properly structured financial management in place for my business. And as I speak now, I have been assisted through the program to have a better bookkeeping and financial management structure for my business. I've also been able to meet friends here who have introduced me to people who can stock my products.
The Ghana Innovation Hub was established by Ghana's Ministry of Communication with funding from the World Bank. Since its creation in 2019, the centre has engaged with over 2,000 youth groups with entrepreneurship training programs. As a result, about 90 new companies are being trained or are at various stages of development.
We have three main partners in the implementation. So I myself work for MDF West Africa, but we also partner with GCTU and Blue Space Africa. So it's a consortium of three organizations that's managing this space and also running the programs here.
The companies enjoying GIH's support vary from agro-processing, packaging, to technology-based industries and firms offering innovative solutions. The centre provides workspaces for businesses, conference rooms for training, and workshops and meeting rooms for planning, networking, and engagement. The hub also has space to showcase the products of trainees for marketing and promotional purposes.
Here in the Ghana Innovation Hub, we have a shelf where we showcase the products of our entrepreneurs. So all these products you see here are samples of what they do, and in a way of helping them, we advertise it for them. When someone walks in, they can get their contacts from here, then call them to make their purchases.
Centres like the Ghana Innovation Hub are essential to reducing youth unemployment in Ghana by teaching young entrepreneurs and innovators to navigate the business world through skills development and resource assistance. The Innovation Hub is helping youth to economically support themselves through entrepreneurship and business development while reducing the pressure on the government to provide public sector jobs for its youth.
Two companies that were in that first cohort. One is processing egg into dried egg powder, which is used for pharmaceuticals. And they've now grown to a stage where they're also doing other products and other poultry products. And they are now in the Orange Corners acceleration program. So they have grown their business to a level that they need support in formalizing their financing, their financial management, but also their sales and distribution. So that is one example. Another example is Tropical Growers, who is also, it was in that same cohort of Innovate GH. they are doing lettuce and herbs with aquaponics. So hydroponics, it's a water-based growing system. You don't need soil.
With the appropriate level of investment and resources from the government and other development partners, the centre has the potential to give many more young entrepreneurs the needed assistance to bring their innovative ideas and visions to contribute towards Ghana's industrialization drive.
Let's get back to our guest this week, startup funder Harry Youmbi. He talks about his journey, the challenges of Africa in developing a common vision, but also the bridge that the diaspora can build with the continent. Let's listen to him. You were a student in Cameroon. What souvenirs do you remember of this period?
Un très bon souvenir. Un très bon souvenir parce que l'éducation au Cameroun m'a permis...
a very good souvenir. Because my education in Cameroon allowed me to develop in dimensions that I could not have imagined.
Que je n'avais pas pu imaginer. À cet effet, j'ai été marqué par...
In effect, I was impressed by two teachers, a maths teacher in my final year and, in the same year, a physics teacher.
Et c'est le premier en mathématiques,
The maths teacher taught me how to find simple solutions to problems we are faced with.
Solution aux problèmes qu'on cherche. Donc,
it's easy to say, but it's an approach that might go against our natural instincts.
L'esprit n'a pas l'esprit humain. Enfin, moi personnellement,
Speaking personally, it wasn't always easy to look for simple solutions.
Chercher les solutions simples. J'ai eu ce déclic-là quand j'étais en terminale.
But something clicked in my final year, and now I try my best to keep things simple. Simple solutions are always the best to solve any problem.
Did that help you later when you became an entrepreneur?
Oui, beaucoup.
Yes, a lot. Because when you're an entrepreneur, there's so much to do. You need to manage communication, you must manage the operation, you have to deal with sales and the technical aspects.
Entre tout ça, il faut très souvent ces problèmes, ils viennent...
Between all that, these problems often arise at the same time. They must all be solved.
Directement sur la solution la plus simple au problème.
And if you're unable to find the simplest solution to the problem, whatever it may be, you'll get bogged down and lose momentum.
On perd en efficacité et on perd en pertinence.
Why did you decide to come to France to continue your studies? Was it a family decision?
Oui. Je pense que c'est plus...
Yes, I think it was a family choice. I didn't object to.
Non plus. C'était l'opportunité pour moi de découvrir de nouvelles choses.
It was an opportunity for me to discover new things, to live in new surroundings, and to see whether Europe was really like the place I had heard about when I was young.
On me l'a vendu quand j'étais jeune. Arrivé ici, j'ai fini mes études.
I arrived, I finished my studies as a mechatronics engineer at an institute in Rouen. And it was while I studied engineering during my last 3 years here in France that I became determined. To become an entrepreneur and to do something for the continent, to allow it, in my own small way, to take a step towards solving the problems it has.
And what do you think are the main problems on the continent?
First, I think we have a problem of identity. An identity problem because today, with globalization, we find it very easy to embrace many things without stepping back and understanding what might help us build or what might destroy us.
Le premier problème, il est là. Ensuite, on a un problème de... Je ne dirais pas de solidarité.
Then there's the problem of solidarity. I would say we haven't yet managed to create strong synergies on the continent as a whole.
Des synergies fortes. Le continent dans sa globalité, bon, après, il y a plusieurs Afriques.
Then there are several Africas, of course. But this is a separate problem. It exists everywhere. Whether in Cameroon, where I come from, in Côte d'Ivoire, or in Senegal, we haven't really managed to unite around a single idea to consolidate as a community, which will have more than just one voice, but at least share the same vision.
And to this end, would you consider returning to Africa to set up your company there? Or do you think that a bridge between the two continents is a key to reverse the difficulties that Africa is experiencing?
Tout à fait. Ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que...
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Reda Capital was created with the vision of being a bridge.
Un pont qui relie...
A bridge that connects a community of diasporas in France and entrepreneurs locally, whether part of the diaspora or local.
Donc, l'idée pour nous, c'est de permettre à la diaspora...
The idea is to give the diaspora who have a good situation here in France and who want to contribute,
veut contribuer quelque part,
the means to give back a little of what Africa has given them by investing in Africa.
Dans du productif en Afrique. Et pour le faire, aujourd'hui...
To do this, it's important, in our experience, in fact, more than necessary, to be here and to have confidence in this diaspora.
Envers cette diaspora-là. Et à moyen terme, il faudra également...
In the medium term, we should have better dealings with entrepreneurs on the continent to create local entities that will be closer to them and that will better understand local needs.
Et qui pourront mieux comprendre leurs besoins locaux et mieux les adresser avec des solutions adaptées.
And provide them with solutions adapted to their environment. So to answer your question, a local presence is necessary, but consolidating Reda Capital in France and in the West generally is also essential.
Plus généralement, est également indispensable.
Well, that's it. Initiative Africa is over for today. You can, of course, find Harry Youmbi's interview and the replay of our programs on our news website, africaonair.com. And, of course, you can also find us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment with the hashtag Initiative Africa. And don't forget, next week, same time, same channel, I'll see you again with a new edition of Business Africa. Have a great week, everyone, and goodbye.